All right, Panthers, the goal right now is to do a quick 15-minute recap of Chapter 1. And a couple things I want you to think about. One, you've already read this chapter, so if you haven't read Chapter 1, go back check out the online textbook and read Chapter 1, but you should have done this weeks and weeks ago when we first started the class. There was a notes and review for Chapter 1 document that you were supposed to fill out. If you've done that, great, done, you're awesome. If not, you might want to go back and complete that. All of those can be found in the pre-spring break folder under Chapter 1. And then, like I said, we're going to quickly go over Chapter 1 to kind of just recap some stuff that we might have forgotten the last couple of weeks. And then we will have a little assessment that will be due Sunday, April 19th, 2020 for you to do. It won't be hard at all, and it should just be a recap. So we're going to go through this, and yeah, so here we go. By the end of this, I want to make sure you can identify the various areas within the television production industry and recall the unique characteristics that each has. We're going to go through those. We're going to explain the roles between networks and affiliates and the process of scheduling programming and summarize how the cost of an ad is determined. So, three big things. We talked about at the beginning of all this that we really only see about 5% of broadcasting and video. A lot of that is just entertainment, but there's a huge chunk of video that is non-broadcast, which is industrial video. And man, even since this book was written a few years ago, that's changed dramatically too with YouTube and all the other things that are out there with social media. Terminology, broadcast. Remember, a broadcast is an on-air signal that goes over across cities, state lines. It's over the air, so it needs to have a receiver to pick it up. It's being transmitted from some big, huge tower somewhere, and then a TV receiver, or if it's radio, a radio receiver is picking it up. Commercial broadcast television is free. So this is King 5, Como 4, Cairo 7, Q13. There's a handful of other ones out there too, but those are your primary ones. They only reach a certain area if it's broadcast. So again, King 5, they have a huge antenna that sits on Queen Anne Hill, and it broadcasts out over the Puget Sound region. But if you cross the mountains, you're not going to pick it up from broadcast perspective. You might get it from cable, and we'll talk about that later, but from broadcast, you're not going to get it because that's over the air. And these are usually for-profit businesses too. There's sometimes you have some non-commercial or non-commercial educational stations out there too, but for the most part, these are for-profit entities that sell ads and spots to make their money. Subscriber television, this is something that you pay for. So Comcast is a great example of this. Comcast, I pay every month $100, and they send me their TV service and internet, and I get whatever programming it is that I've picked from that package. These satellite companies do this too. Dish TV is an example. A lot of it is for cable now being sent over fiber optic, which is instead of an analog signal of a broadcast being sent down a cable line, a copper line, it's all being digitally sent down through fiber optic lines. Usually this requires some sort of equipment. So like I have a TV box downstairs on my TV, and I have a TV box in the TV in my bedroom, and I have to have that box so that it can decode the information that's being sent out by those subscribers. And then the local government determines that. So Comcast is controlled by the local government here in the Tacoma, Seattle area, and what they're allowed to send out and where they can send stuff out to. Educational television, real simple. It is stuff that's going to teach you how to do things. Usually it's funded by grants. Classes usually, if you think of Sesame Street, great example of educational television. Or my favorite, or not my favorite, my kid's favorite right now, Daniel Tiger, educational television. industrial television or corporate television is teaching you how to do something. So this could be an example of industrial television because I am teaching you about the video and broadcasting industry. Before we left, we started looking at Adobe Premiere Pro. That is teaching you how to do something that's considered industrial corporate television. It's not entertaining, it's teaching you how to do something. Closed circuits, think of your house or like a security system where all these cameras send video back to one area. That's closed circuit. So usually it's within a building, within a house. Our school building has a closed circuit system for TV, so I can broadcast stuff out to every classroom. But we also have a closed circuit system where all the security cameras are feeding stuff back to our security room. Home video, this is stuff that you take out on your iPhones, right? This is stuff that you're shooting on your iPhones or your cell phones every day, and that you're creating. Back, before iPhones and video phones and all that, we used to have video cameras that we would film stuff, and we have those, videotapes we'd go back and watch. So large scale production companies, these have big budgets, large staffs, usually lots of cameras, usually go to different locations to shoot things. And then these productions are usually sold to bigger broadcast entities like networks. The smaller ones are, a group of people get together and they're going to shoot a quick commercial for the local car dealership. And they're going to be given $5,000 to do it, and they need to do X, Y, and Z, and they have very small resources to work with. This could also be too like a wedding. Like if you're having a wedding, or you've been to a wedding and you've seen someone videotaping and videographers all over the place, that's an example of a small scale video production company. Networks. So networks are the big guys, right? So these provide programming to what are called affiliates, and affiliates are the smaller guys. So the network is NBC, ABC, ESPN, CBS, Fox. Those are the networks, and they're providing big time programming to affiliate stations, which are things like King 5, Como. If you're on Eastern Washington, it would be like Krem 2 News or KHQ. Those are the affiliates that are going to take that network feed. Networks usually provide primetime news, so national news. They're the ones providing a morning show. So like for NBC, they're providing Today Show from 7 to 9, or I think it's like 7 to 10 or something like that. They're providing them big time TV shows. So for my kid right now loves watching Lego Masters. I think it's called Lego Masters. And Fox, they buy the rights to that program. They send it out to all their affiliates, and it's always going to play at a certain time on this date. Another example is I'm trying to think of something I just saw. I just saw Grey's Anatomy was popped up on the TV the other day. That is something that the ABC, the network grabs, they pay for it, and they send it out at a certain time to their affiliates. Sports is another great example. Football Sundays, networks are taking those sports games and they're sending it out to affiliates that relate to those certain teams. Networks don't provide 24/7 programming either. They're going to provide certain programming at certain hours that the affiliates have to play, and then the affiliates are responsible for filling in the rest of that time. So they can do things like syndicating programs or local programming. Syndicated programs is taking a show that maybe a network has aired in the past and replaying it. It could be something like daytime television like Ellen DeGeneres or Oprah, back when Oprah was a big thing, or some of those other daytime drama shows. Those are all syndicated programming programs that affiliates can buy and fill in when networks aren't providing network content, or they can produce their own stuff. Locally here in Seattle, there's two shows that I can think of. One's called Evening, that's on King 5. The other is called Seattle Redefined on Como, and both of those are examples of local programming where they go around, they shoot a 25-ish minute show, and they feature certain things in our region that people here are going to relate to and would enjoy watching and learning more about. So syndications are when an affiliate buys the rights to play something. Usually they have to buy the show, um, and they have to play a certain amount of episodes or all the episodes, and they have to play them in order, and they always have to play them at the same time. So if I'm going to syndicate Lost, it was a big TV show years ago, and I'm going to re-syndicate that. I always have to play. I have to play every episode in order, and I always have to play it at the same time every day or whatever week, whatever, whenever I say I'm going to do it. So these are dramas, comedies, talk shows, game shows, cooking shows, animated shows, children's shows, movies. These are things that an affiliate will buy and then replay on their station. And remember, an affiliate is a small station. I'm going to skip that one, but know that, again, affiliates are thinking about their demographics and who their audience is. So let's recap that. We talked about demographics and audience, and certain shows are for certain people. And if I don't really like football, I'm not going to watch a football game. Then if I know that most of the people in my region don't like football, I'm not going to play football on my station because I know my demographic and my audience doesn't care for that. So broadcast companies are thinking of that kind of stuff all the time, and what is it that their viewers are really going to want to watch. Again, we talked about local origin program that's created in the area, so local news, local sports, local events, special programming about the area. If you think of 4th of July or New Year's Eve, that's a local or original program, special event. We're not broadcasting the Space Needle big fireworks show to the entire nation. We're just broadcasting it to the Seattle area. When all of this, you have to be thinking about money because these most of the time are for-profit stations. So you're thinking about money, ratings, and ratings are determine if a show stays on or not. So higher the rating, the more money it's going to bring in, which means more people are watching it, more money comes in, and it's this circle effect that just keeps going and going and going. Money has to cover, the overhead, salaries, facilities, equipment, and then of course buying the syndication of shows or actually producing these shows. So ratings, to recap on what those are, we take a group of people and we ask them, what are you watching? What do you like watching? What do you think of that show? And all of that turns into a rating system, and that's how TV programs are decided to keep going or to get rid of them. So if a station has, if their ratings indicate a big audience, then they're going to keep playing that, and they can use that data to their advertisers to say, hey, put your ads on our station, and then that's how they sell advertising. If they know that there's a show that's not getting good ratings, which means a lot of people aren't watching it, then they're not going to keep playing it because they're not getting the viewership so that they can play the ads, so that the people who are buying the spots, the ads, if they know a lot of people aren't going to be watching it, why would they spend the money on it? So you have to understand that whole cycle of advertising. And then a program is canceled, just like I was saying. If the audience is super low, super small, the advertising dollars are going to go away. They can no longer earn enough money to keep that going. And the program is then replaced by another program that they're going to try to earn more money with. So let's just really real fast go back to our first slide and just remember that you should, after reading the chapter, reviewing the chapter, reading the notes and review, and this quick little brief overview of chapter 1, identifying the areas of the production industry and recall the characteristics and the different parts. So broadcasting, subscriber, industrial, closed circuit, home video, those things. What's the difference between a network and affiliate? make sure you understand that, and then summarize how the costs of an ad are determined. And we talked about that with ratings and viewership and all that. So this is chapter 1 recap. There's going to be a short little assessment to make sure that you got those concepts. Take care of that and then move on to the next one.